It's officially a new age for Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising as Season 2 is finally here. Alongside the release of the newest character Sandalphon, GBVSR has ushered in some more changes to both universal system mechanics and specific characters. The latter may not have been as robust across the cast as some players may have expected. However, there are still some key adjustments that have the potential to have some impact on how certain characters perform in this patch. In this video, of course, we're going to look at how my main Vira may fare this season. In my opinion, I think she could be a solid pick, and today I'm going to explain exactly why that may be. So Skyfarers, strap in, we've got a little bit of thinking to do. So what exactly did Vira get in Season 2 that makes me feel like she has a better chance of winning? Well, nothing explicitly. I mean, in the patch notes on paper, she didn't get anything. The only thing that really changed that's unique to her is that her punishment rate super is more punishable because it has less travel distance and less pushback on block. But while she didn't get anything specific to her, I think that the way that the game has changed around her could have the potential to really help her standing. So let's start off by talking about how the system changes in Season 2 affect Vira. The big one, of course, being that Brave counter is no longer +6 on block, meaning that even if you did block the opponent trying to do a guard cancel, it was still their turn, which was high-key annoying for Vira because her strike throw offense is very important, especially in matchups against zoners and characters that like to create space. So once you figured out a way to navigate neutral and you would get them to do Brave counter, like it was just like your turn was over and it was just back to square one. But in this new version, it is -2 on block, meaning that I am still in the position to continue my offense if I structure my offense such that I can block Brave counter attempts from my opponent. So now the opponent has to be a bit more judicious about when they are going to Brave counter, because if they do it to where Vira can block, she's still in a position to continue her very oppressive offense up close, and they are still going to be a little bit more reluctant, so that also gives Vira free reign to incorporate more throw in the strike throw game. And of course, after that forward throw, she gets her safe jump in, I think pretty much anywhere on screen, where she sets up Luminaria for Oki. Either way, it's a boon in her ability to maintain offense against her opponent. The second big change, which I did not see coming, but I am very happy is in the game, is that meterless DPs and supers now cause a counter hit recovery state. So what that means is that if I get Belial in this knockdown here, and he does heavy Notoria, boom, I punish him and I get the big counter hit effect. This was not the case in Season 1 because you would just get the normal hit when you punish DP. And while in this game, the counter hits don't necessarily increase the damage on the hits verbatim, the added hit stop on the counter hit property enables you to go for different things, different routes on your punishes. So you have access to potentially more damage through a combo, or just altogether different things that you would not have had possible on a normal route. How this affects Vira is very, very important. So I'm going to show you right here, put him in the knockdown again, get heavy Notoria, boom, counter hit close H, and then that's a true combo into command grab, and now I have install ready. So if I just punish DP, doesn't even matter what bar I have, if it's 50% bar to go into 2-2U, or if it's 100% bar, I can just go straight into install if I get a read on a DP. And I showed this on Belial's DP specifically because in Season 1.5, when she received her buff to 2-2U, even then it was still not possible for her to get a DP punish with 6-6H like she could with other Rising DPs like Grands. So when you would be able to punish them and force them into the counter hit state, which is the only way you could get this confirmed into command grab off of Ultimate Luminaria, couldn't do that on Belial because when you block Belial's DP, because he comes back down, he was +14, and that's not enough time to do 6-6H. So you would just be resigned to doing close H as a punish. And you don't even have to go into command grab, because this also opens up the fact that on block, you can get counter hit close H into 2-2U, and that enables this full route here, as opposed to just say, you know, you just get this and that's it, or you'd have to spend a raging strike. So in essence, what this does is give her more ways to access her win condition, which is of course getting to that install state. But more than that, you also get big damage more readily off of that counter hit 2-2U conversions, or you just get better corner carry if you have the meter to do the 2-2U. So just being able to have those when you get a read on your opponent's defensive habits is really, really nice. But make sure you're aware though that this does not impact ultimate reversals, because as you see here, I only got the normal hit after Matera did her ultimate great fall reversal. So if it's a meterless DP that's not the ultimate version, or SBAs, SSBA super reversals, you will get that counter hit property on your opponent. But ultimate reversals are not impacted by this change. So second, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Vira's matchup spread and how that's been affected by Season 2. So I alluded to this earlier in the video, but one of Vira's major pain points was that against characters that like to create space and zone out Vira, it was very hard for her to navigate neutral. So when she would get in, it was very important for her to make the most of that. It was very annoying that once you got in on a character such as Matera here, they would brave counter, and then even on block, you lost your turn. But now with the changes to brave counter and now it being -2 on block, once you get in, you just structure your offense so that you still maintain advantage, and you could force Matera here to play defense a little bit longer and, of course, get your turn going. And with Vira, it's very important that she keeps her turn going in these matchups, because you don't want to have to necessarily go back to neutral against characters that are very good at keeping her out. And other than brave counter itself, it's very good at making the opponent a lot more hesitant defensively. So when you're doing your strike throw pressure or your take throw pressure, like, they're not going to necessarily want to act on defense, because especially if you don't necessarily have a meterless DP, there's resource behind every action that you take on defense to try to get your turn back, or there's risk to it. If Vira can call those out, or she gets herself in a position and keeps that positioning against them, it's very, very big. So this is very good for characters like Fairy, Matera, Eustace, to be able to be a little bit less volatile and just give her more of a fighting chance to continue the phase of the game that she excels at the most in those matchups. Starting with Belial, he excelled mightily at keeping Vira locked down and giving her no breathing room to operate. So that was a very common sequence that you would normally put your opponent in if you were Belial, was just do auto combo into heavy Goetia. You would have to hold that. You would be able to DP the follow-up. Everybody's a little crooked, but it was a big risk to take. But now they made it so that there's a pretty sizable gap to where you can almost on reaction mash out with a far light. So you don't necessarily have to hold that pressure anymore like you had to previously. And even if they don't go into the follow-up, just the heavy Goetia is now -2 without going into the follow-up. It used to be +2, I believe. Him being able to lock you down is not as strong anymore. On top of that, the infamous crouching medium got nerfed. So you see that I whiffed there after trying to reset and do stagger pressure with that crouching medium, because you used to be able to sort of use that as a way to reset pressure as Belial, but now they added more pushback on blocks, so you get pushed out of a range where it doesn't work. So you have to commit to an option like 6-6L, or I believe possibly even far H to sort of reset pressure. A bit more of a commitment to continue your offense as Belial. And again, that gives Vira more room to reverse phases and start her offense again. Like with punish 2M there, boom, I'm in your face. And then look, you try to take your turn back, and bada bing, bada boom, we do what we were doing before. And one more for good measure, this ultimate Goetia now causes pushback on block and moves forward. So before, he used to be able to lock you down and then run up and start pressure. Can't do that anymore because it pushes the opponent away. So you can still send it out as a way to create space, but in terms of being able to send it out and then just run up to the opponent to start your pressure, that is no longer a thing that he can do. You do that, but I mean, it's nowhere near as strong as it used to be. Lucilius is another character that received a very important nerf to them, and that was that his blade level on block specials now is only a half of what it used to be. So if I send out Iblis, boom, I do Iscariot, and I do Tessera right there. It took me 3 specials to get blade level 1 because the blade level increase is halved in this version of the game if you do it on block or on whiff. Whereas before, it was universal. If you hit block or whiff, didn't matter, you were still getting the same amount of blade level. I was about to say blood level. Blade level increase. He has to make sure that he hits you in order to get to his win condition more readily. So that prevents the snowball from starting earlier, so Vira can get a jump on Lucilius earlier in the round. And with the lackluster defense that Lucilius has. Outside of his Abare, he doesn't have a meterless DP, so he has to commit to a 50% ultimate reversal. Vira can maintain her offense against him pretty well, and we mentioned before about how good it is that BC is now -2 on block because Lucilius, who will BC and then set up Iblis. If you structure your offense against that, you know, it's party time. And finally, Siegfried. I'm just gonna start this segment out by saying, pour one out for your local Siegfried player because probably the biggest loser in this patch. It was, he got some pretty sizable nerfs. For what it's worth, I don't think the way that Vira and Siegfried will play into each other changes that much in terms of the matchup dynamic. However, what changes is that Siegfried doesn't necessarily get the same reward on his best Abare options that he used to. And what that means is that he's no longer able to go into Heavy Orkin, which was a very rewarding special in terms of him being able to reverse phases and get corner carries, set up offense. He doesn't get that from his most popular Abare options, which is far L or off of 2L, especially. That no longer combos, and his 2U, even just the first hit, doesn't work. So, you know, that's tough. And basically on Vira's end, that means, you know, you can be a little bit more free with your pressure because, you know, if you get mashed out on by Siegfried, he's gonna have to spend resource to really make it hurt. Otherwise, you're kind of just chilling. You just go into Light Orkin and like that's whatever. It's not the best Oki in the world. It gives Vira a little bit more leeway in the matchup. In any case, those were 3 characters that you probably did not want to see in bracket as a Vira player, and those are 3 very popular characters that you would probably most likely see in bracket. So her having a bit more of an edge and an advantage against them, even as small as it may end up being, or potentially as big. We don't necessarily know right now. It's still early in the patch, but still on paper and just early theory crafting, it seems like Vira has more room to function in these matchups. So that could potentially be very good in terms of her consistency in bracket. So of course we talked about all the good. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the drawbacks to the changes this season. First off, gotta acknowledge that the meterless reversal is a bit of a double-edged sword because Vira herself is also a meterless DP character. So the changes to her non-ultimate reversals affect her as well. So that double-edged sword being is that if my red barrel sword gets blocked, I myself am open up to a big counter hit confirm. So when I'm on defense with Vira, it's going to be very crucial and impertinent that I am judicious with my reversals and don't put myself in harm's way of getting counter hit as a punish. So I could potentially just be, you know, a lot more patient and, you know, opt for an ultimate DP instead if I just want to get something sent out there. Again, better frame data, and then I don't get the counter hit punish, I just get normal hit punish. Or just, you know, be disciplined with my brave counters and start my turn back in an effective way. I've also been mentioning Fairy and Matera a lot in terms of being able to maintain your offense against them once you get in. However, with the changes to the brave counter and stuff like that, there's still some compensatory buffs that those 2 characters specifically received to make their neutral a lot more oppressive for Vira to navigate around. For Fairy, her far normals have been given buffs to where they're faster now, have less recovery, I believe, and also have had buffs to their forward hurt box, which meaning that they shortened it so it's a little bit harder to swing into these normals. So that was one way you'd be able to contest Fairy in neutral, was swinging into the lingering forward hurt boxes of her moves, but that's a little bit harder now. Additionally, the faster recovery makes it so it's less minus on block, so it's a little bit harder to walk block at her. It's not impossible, like you still want to make that your MO in this matchup, but it's still a little bit harder because she's able to swing at a little bit more of a faster pace to deter your forward movement, so harder to sort of encroach upon her space. In a similar vein, Matera got buffs to her far H and her arrows. Starry Sky, so they're also faster now. She also received the ability to do both a non-ultimate and an ultimate version of Great Fall at the same time, regardless of if the non-ultimate version projectiles are still on screen. So let's say you don't jump and then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna jump at her because I got in and I went right past medium Great Fall. No can do. No can do, buddy. You're still getting sniped. And beyond those two, of course, there are still some characters that are lingering challenges for her, like Anre, Luane, 2B, potentially Sandalphon. It's still pretty early as of the recording of this video into his release, so can't definitively say that for sure, but early impressions are that he could be a little bit of a trial, but time will tell on that front, so we'll see. So to wrap things up, everything that I've talked about gives me hope that my girl will have a pretty good showing in season 2. I think her offense in general received a boon thanks to changes to the Brave counter and the reversals now being a counter hit state in recovery. Her matchup spread may become a bit more manageable, which makes her more consistent as a tournament character. And like I said, there are still some roadblocks to her being a dominant character, of course, but I still think that with enough practice and study, she will be able to compete effectively against those challenges. So with that all being said, I am very excited for season 2 action with my girl Vira. We're gonna shoot for the stars and try to get some wins in with her, and I'm gonna make sure to take y'all along for the ride. So if you want to be a part of that journey, please make sure to subscribe to this channel, like the video if you enjoyed what you saw here today, and leave a comment what your favorite part was, what you learned from it, what you think I should include for the next videos. I hope that y'all have a great day, a great night, wherever you're checking in from. It's daytime for me because I've just been slacking on this video, so I'm trying to get this done ASAP. But we're gonna have more videos in the future, so definitely make sure to stick around, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out.